What's going on, everybody? Mark here with CCO's The Science of Fishing. I'm here with Tee Grizzard, the head of business development over at Seamule. It's good to have you, man.
I certainly appreciate the opportunity to sit here and have a conversation with you.
Absolutely.
You've landed on CCO's The Science of Fishing, where passion meets precision. Hold on tight as we dive in. But before we do, we would like to thank Seamule and Black Reef Co. for sponsoring this episode.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a little bit different than what most people, come to listen to The Science of Fishing for. Usually it's captains. Usually it's, different people within the industry. You guys make products for boats, but you yourself are a fisherman that's a hardcore fisherman, right?
I have been known to spend a bit of time on the back of a boat pulling on drag, that's for sure.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yep.
So before we get into all that,
Yep.
Seamule, right?
Yep.
You guys have this new product called Flushmaster. Can you tell us a little bit about it, man?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. So, at the end of the day, maintenance can be a pain in the rear sometimes. And sometimes it's that task at the end of the day nobody wants to do. That's why you wait till the end of the day to do all those bad things you don't want to do. So the Flushmaster really automates the flushing process for you, and it takes that process of starting and going through from each engine, flushing them adequately one by one. It automates it, connect to each engine, press on and start. It takes that 30-minute process and really automates to seconds to how long it takes you to connect it.
Right.
So it really simplifies your life at the end of the day.
So what would you say to someone to be like, well, it takes me a few minutes to just hook it up into an engine and then go over, do what I got to do, and then hook it up to the next engine? Why do I need your product?
Yep. So with going through all that process, you still have to wait to end it.
Right.
So that's the challenge. So if you have a boat and you're on a lift, say for example, and everybody's going up to the house and you're the last one there, and okay, hey, while this last motor's flushing, I'll run up to the house and get in the shower, and the water's still running 3 hours later because you forgot. So this product takes the thought process out of the maintenance, right? So you don't have to remember it's been 10 minutes, let me switch over to the other engine. It's been 15 minutes, let me end the process. So it's just a quick 30-second connection and start, and you don't have to think about it anymore, and you can go do whatever else you want to do. You can get in the shower, go get in the pool, go hang out with the kids. It really adds to the quality of your life because you don't have to sit there and watch your engine flush.
Right, and it stops automatically. You can go get on the boat the next day and just take it off the next morning, right?
Correct.
And you guys have quick connect adapters that make it really easy, right?
Yep.
For everybody?
So I'm really excited about these. We have developed two quick connects, one for Suzuki that is designed to be left in the flush port. And the cool thing about that is the challenge with flushing a Suzuki is attaching the source of water to the engine. So we've automated or further simplified that process by developing a quick connect that's designed to be left in the engine.
Wow.
So at the end of the day, when you go to make your connection with your flushing device with the Flushmaster, it's a quick connect on the end of the hose, quick connect to the engine, and it further simplifies the process of having to unscrew or screw anything in. Right. So these are going to be available probably within the next 45 to 60 days. I should have them in packaging in hand. Mercury we've also developed a quick connect for Mercury's as well. The Mercury, if you know anything about Mercury's, that flush port plug to get to the flush port can be a real challenge to get out.
Yeah.
Most of the time you got to use a pair of pliers to get the thing out because it's so hard in there. And once you get that flush attachment out of the cowling, you have to then unscrew it from the flush attachment.
Right.
Then screw something to the flush attachment. So with the quick connect that we've developed for Mercury, once it's installed, it's a simple pop the cap off and connect with a quick connect. Right. So it takes super easy, super quick, and really further simplifies the process.
Right.
And really excited about those. And I should have those probably within, I would say, 45 to 60 days ready for sale.
Okay. And you guys also do Yamaha, right? Super easy. That's even easier, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
So we'll have that solution
so
as
you
well.
got pretty much every outboard manufacturer out there under your umbrella.
That's exactly right. Yeah. We can help anybody, and it doesn't have to be just here in the U.S. because we've actually had inquiries and working with a guy in Australia.
Oh, wow.
Interestingly enough, about social media, right? So you never know what's going to go viral or what's going to connect with somebody or not. And we would do a cool video or a cool commercial or whatever, and we think it's really cool, and it gets 5 views.
Right.
And then we do something, I did a simple, hey, it's Thursday afternoon. We got fuel in the boat. Don't have to wash it. Still got to flush the engines. Da-da-da-da-da. That TikTok got like 700,000 views, and somebody in Australia saw it. And he's like, hey, I want to be a dealer in Australia.
There you go.
You never know how, who's watching and who's interested. So really excited about what's going on.
That's awesome. So this doesn't have to be attached to the dock, right? You can take this in a bag.
Yeah, so that's the beautiful thing about the Flushmaster. It's designed to be portable. You can attach it to a 5/8 inch regular garden hose. If it's a reinforced garden hose, you never have to worry about turning the water off because you don't have to worry about bubbles in the hose.
Right.
This is a 140 psi shutoff valve. If you are on a lift and you have a water source closest to the engine, the most convenient way to use this product is have it hard plumb to the dock and to a threaded piece of PVC.
Right.
And just connect with, you never have to turn the water on or off. It's just simply connect your hose and press on.
Okay. And you guys do this for quads and dual, right?
So we have 2 models. We have a 2 outlet and we have a 4 outlet. The 2 outlet is designed to be used for single and twin applications.
Yeah.
And the quad or the 4 outlet is designed to be used from one engine all the way up to quads.
Okay.
The way you would do that, if you were to say, for example, if you bought the 4 outlet and wanted to use it as a triple application, you would take the 4th circuit down to 0, and it takes that port out of
Oh wow!
the
So
equation.
you can change it up depending on.
And these come pre-programmed for 15 minutes per engine, but you can adjust that from 1 minute to 60 minutes per, whatever you want to do.
Right.
So you can, if 15 minutes you feel is too long, you can adjust it to 5 or whatever.
Right.
You know how when you go over to the Bahamas, you pay for the gallon.
Yeah.
So, 3 or 5 minutes may be sufficient enough for you to say, okay, hey, I ran some fresh water through it, or go ahead and run the 15 minutes through it. And that's because Yamaha recommends a 15-minute flush.
Yeah.
So that's why we have pre-programmed these for 15 minutes.
Right. Not 3 hours though.
No.
You're not forgetting them.
The good thing about it is they're powered by 3 AA batteries. They last probably a boating season. If you use a good quality battery, Duracell or Energizer, we highly recommend that because cheap batteries are cheap batteries.
Right.
But it's very simple. The battery compartment is double O-ringed. There's 6 screws that are brass inserted, so you don't have to worry about the screws stripping out.
Okay.
So really it is completely portable. You can take it with you. You can leave it at home. You can put it in the dock box. You can put it in a travel bag, leave it in a hatch on the boat, or however you want to use it.
Right.
It's very simple.
That's pretty awesome, man. So there you go. This makes life way easier, especially after a long day of fishing.
Yeah. It was interesting. We were doing a video shoot with another influencer, and one of a Major League Baseball player saw it, and I can't name his name right now because he's on injured reserve, and the season's still going on. So he's like, hold off on letting know who I am, but. He's like, dude, my wife is going to love this because he's got 2 small children. Okay. And at the end of the day, they get to the dock. The boat gets on lift. He's cleaning the boat. Kids are in the pool. Wife's playing with the kids in the pool. Hey, you going to come up here and be a dad? Hey, you going to come up here and be a dad? He's like, I'm not done cleaning the boat. Now I got to flush these engines. He's like, my wife loves you, like literally
just on.
Yeah. It was really cool. So to get that,
so you're saving marriages, man.
Yeah. Creating relationships with the kids in the pool. You know?
That's awesome.
It's cool.
Well, I know you guys also work with Captain George, right?
Yep.
Gods.
So that was where the video that we shot with George got to him. Okay. And he's like, hey, where'd you get that thing?
I think that's where I saw you guys, and that's how I was like, oh, I got to hook up with these guys. We got to make this happen.
And it was interesting how George was like, that was interesting because you never know what resonates with people and just bang, bang, bang. And right out of that relationship spawned some other conversations, some other opportunities. And, and we look forward to working with people that, if it's genuine and authentic, it works, right? Yeah. And I'm not selling anything. If you see the inherent value of your time, it's very affordable.
Right. What's a retail at? With?
So the 2-port with 7-foot hoses in the 300 range.
That's not bad.
No, not at all. And the 4-port with 12 hoses in the 550 range. So it's very affordable.
You're buying a boat with 4 engines, man.
think about it. It's like buying another rod, right? I mean, think about it.
Exactly.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
But you're not going to use the rod at the end of the day every time you use the boat.
Right.
But
You're going to use
this every time you use the boat.
Right.
A good friend of mine is an engine distributor with Mastery Engine Center, and I set one up on his dock. He's like, dude, now that I have that thing, it's like, I don't know what I'm going to do without it.
Right.
Because it really simplifies
He loves it.
Yeah, loves it.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
So we got to get one of these over here at Center Consoles Only.
Yep.
We got to start doing this.
And in fact, the boats all the things that they're doing, we're definitely going to support. So if you guys are involved with CCO and these giveaways and all the things that they're doing, Seamule and the Flushmaster will definitely excited about the partnership with CCO.
Awesome, man. So yeah, we're part of CCO now. We're partnered with them, so we're all together, man. We're going to make it happen.
Right on.
Awesome.
And the interesting thing about this, I said that we started in March 1st is when we launched the product, and I feel a groundswell coming, and it's. The base hits, but the recognition and people understanding that, hey, look at this solution for this problem that everybody has.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this glassy set coming to the beach, and it's about to break, and this is going to be a fun ride because, again, it's just one of those things that simplifies your life at the end of the day.
Right, and that's all people need: simplicity.
Yeah, and the price point isn't an objectable point.
No.
A couple $100 for your time. I mean, if the guy that's got those types of boats, or hell, even the guy that buys $100,000 center bay boat, his time's valuable.
Oh, it is.
Right.
He wants to be out there. He's got those few minutes he wants to get out there.
Right. Yeah. Spend more time on the water, less on the dock.
Exactly. So talking about spending time on the water, what is your experience on the water, man? I know we talked a little bit about your fishing, and you proposed to your wife tarpon fishing, right?
I did. I named my son Fisher. Yeah.
There you go. So
I got a problem with it. So I caught the bug early as a kid, and one of my first words was pish.
Okay.
Pish. And my dad used to charter fish down in Boca Grande in the late 60s and early 70s, and some of my first memories were catching pinfish as bait for his charters and that kind of thing. And then I got the bug, and I'm dyslexic, and in middle school I skipped some school, and all right, I'm going to fish, and you got to go back to school. So then I got into college and spent 4 summers on the back of boats over in the Abacos, primarily over in Marsh Harbor, primarily. But all up the Abacos, and had quite a good time over there.
Were you fishing tournaments over there, or what were you
so I
doing?
fished the Bertram Hatter Shootout 3 times. I did fish some other tournaments, the Wahoo Championship, some other things, and caught some nice fish. Never placed in the money, but that whole. It's so funny because I live in St. Petersburg now, and to talk about tournament fishing, for example, for a second.
It's a different ball game.
Tournament fishing is so funny because over on my coast, the pelagics are a long run. They're 80 to 100 mile run one way to get to catching dolphin and wahoo and blue marlin, those things. We can't catch them, but it's a long.
To haul.
It's an effort to get there.
Yeah.
So the tournaments that are big on the West Coast are kingfish tournaments.
I fished a couple of those.
Okay. Over here on this side, kingfish are almost like, oh, God, another king, whatever.
Yeah.
But people go crazy over them over there. So it's like the whole tournament thing is funny because, like, these guys that fish the kingfish tournaments are like, hey, like, you have no idea what a blue marlin tournament costs and what goes into a blue marlin tournament.
It's like 10 times the amount.
Go ahead and X, but, more substantially.
You got to just, you just got to have a lot of money to do those tournaments.
So those guys that are fishing those big money tournaments, those are teams. Everybody has a role. Don't deviate from your role because, you get in my lane, we butt heads. It's not happening. No, you got a role, I got a role, And if there's good communication, that's what makes a good team.
What was your primary role?
So I was a mate. I was low man
Okay.
on totem pole, but if you think about it, I had all the fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Were you leader in fishing and wiring
yeah.
them in?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
So the third blue marlin I ever wired was probably between 650 and 700. And
The third?
Yeah, only the third one I ever caught. And my boss had the captain I was fishing with. I was on a 54 Bertram. He had just flown out on Friday because he had to go to a wedding. So I had my boss and his son, and we're on a 54 Bertram. The owner flew out on Sunday morning or Sunday at 1. I said, hey, let's go fishing for a little bit. I didn't even get the fourth line set, and I thought it was a big wahoo because he never came up. And he about dumped an 80 wide. I was like, you! And he came up, and Mr. Harris wound up catching that fish in probably 20 minutes, and he was green.
Oh, geez.
I'm 19 years old. I'm like, holy sh... And my eyes are holy. And Mr. Harris is like, don't get hurt. Because there was a guy in North Carolina that just got pulled over a few weeks earlier and never saw him again.
Really?
Chris, I forget what his last name was, but his first name was Chris.
Yeah.
And he was a top mate, and he got yanked, and guy on the rod tightened up the drag and popped him off and never saw him again. So that's kind of playing in my back of my mind, and I got this green blue marlin on the wire. I'm like, oh,
No less a big one.
yeah. So we wind up letting him go, and thank God my captain had lashed a 3/4 inch end wrench on a stick for a release device.
Okay.
Because a 54 Bertram's got a tall cockpit.
Yeah.
And you can't reach the water, so I'm like,
Right.
how the hell am I going to get this thing off? And I popped him with that release stick is what he called it.
Right.
And it worked.
It worked out?
Sweet, yeah. Like AFCO makes one now. It's kind of like almost looks like a branding.
Like a branding device?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen it. It's kind of like
No, I haven't seen
you
it.
can push or pull on it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's pretty cool.
So that's it. But you had your own homemade one.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you guys had made.
Yeah,
You're the
improvised.
inventors.
This was early 90s.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, Mr. Harris got off the boat, and they had just bought the boat in Miami that January. We didn't have any blue marlin flags, and he's a prim and proper guy from Winter Park. I'm like, Mr. Harris, I'm going to need your underwear because they're flying on a rigger. He's like, he looked at me with big eyes like, I can't believe you just asked me that. Like one of those prim and proper owners.
Did he do it?
He went inside, and his son was like, it might have been over the line. I'm like, really? I mean, we just caught a 700-pound blue marlin, He damn sure came back out with them drawers and said, fly him high.
That is hilarious.
He got off the boat, and he handed me a banded stack of $100 bills and said, thank you, because it was his first blue marlin he ever caught. And I didn't know that until he got
Really?
off the boat, and I was just like, wow, that was a cool fish.
That is memorable.
That was a cool fish.
And you flew his underwear out.
I did, and they damn sure sat up there.
I hope he's listening to this
Yeah.
at some point.
I think he's passed now. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, his son will remember
But yeah,
it.
yeah, it was good. It was good. That was one of my favorite shots.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Any other memorable stories from being over there in the Bahamas or wherever else you fished?
Yes. There's probably charter guys and mates listening to this podcast, and one of my best days on the water, we didn't catch a damn thing, and it was interesting. And I was fishing out of Palm Beach at a sailfish marina, and it was a full day charter. We didn't even get a ballyhoo washed out. It was that slow fishing.
Whoa.
And it was a four-head charter, and trying to keep it light, and you do all these things, but the bite is just non-existent. So we get back to the dock and wash down, and this guy I fished with, he was like, if you're going to fish him, you're going to drink a scotch. And I'm like, ugh, I don't drink scotch, but if you're going to fish him, you're going to drink scotch. I'm like, okay. So every time I got to the cockpit washing in Chamian,
Yeah.
there's a red Solo cup of Doers and Waters, and we'd have a scotch. And I'm like, ugh. It was the worst part of fishing with the guy. But
Yeah.
anyway, I say, well, that sucked. He's like, well, why do you say that? I was like, you were on the same boat I was today. He goes, okay, what do you consider sucking? What is a litmus of a good trip to you? I said, am I missing something here? We're charter fishing, right? He goes, yeah, but what's the litmus of a successful trip? I said, you got to catch fish, dude. He goes, no, dummy. The crew has to have a good time. They just tipped you $500 a day because they saw you busting your ass, and they had a great time on the boat today because of you. So the litmus of a successful trip is if they get off the boat with a smile and want to come back,
Right.
regardless of whatever they caught.
That makes sense for charter fishing.
right?
Yeah.
Right? They had a good time with you.
Okay.
And then you have those hardcore charters that you're like, hey, I just want to fish all day for that one bite.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a different trip because that guy knows he might not get a bite. And that's okay.
Right.
But the other trip, hey, we just want to have fun.
Yeah.
Can I get you a beer? Whatever. It's being able to know your audience and play with it. One of the kids I say kids, he's probably 30 now in my neighborhood, and I've known him growing up, and he's always been Mr. T, Mr. T. He saw me throw a cast net, and I taught the kid at like 10 years old how to throw a cast net, and he's like, I've always remembered that, and thank you. And that kind of get what you give kind of thing. Yeah. So he's now chartering full time, and I had this conversation with him. He's like, oh, you got to catch fish. I'm like, no, dude. You're going to build your business on repeat clients.
Really?
You are going to build your business on repeat clients.
Yeah.
And those repeat clients don't have to catch fish with you every time they come.
Right.
They have to have a good time with you in order to come back.
You got to leave a lasting impression.
Period. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the litmus of fishing success.
Right.
Is fun.
So how do you translate into business? Because you do business development for a few different companies, right? Including Seamule.
Yep.
So do you take that, that motto?
Okay. Genuine. Yep. Right? So like George Gotts, for example, and everybody. So I just came on board with these guys in January, but it's been a very easy fit for me. The way Flushmaster has launched and the people we're working with and working in conjunction with, working with Mastery Engine Center to develop this Quick Connect was huge. And that's based on relationships, right? It's not, hey, what can I get out of you? And how am I going to leverage me here?
Right.
If it's not we, it doesn't work, right?
Right.
This product, the Flushmaster, is not about me. It's about you at the end of the day. And if you see it, I'm not selling you anything, right? The whole thing is we're trying to provide a lifestyle and products to really enhance your lifestyle at the end of the day. I'm not trying to sell you anything to say, hey, I got you. Yeah. No, this is a product that you'd be like, where's this been all my life?
Right.
It's kind of those things. And to translate the fishing in business, it's very interesting because I've been in sales and the fishing business, and this kind of goes to the mates on the back of boats, right? Mm-hmm. You have to be a chameleon, right?
What do you mean by that?
In order to be successful as a mate, right?
Right.
You have to be multifaceted. You have to understand how to take orders, how to bite your tongue, how to be presentable, how to talk to the guy taking out the trash, how to talk to the owner, how to talk to his wife.
Right.
How to deal with his kids, how to deal with their pain in the ass friends, right? So you have to navigate so many different personalities and backgrounds to order be effective in your position, right?
Sometimes at once, right?
Because if the guy on the dock doesn't like you, you're going to wait for hours for your ice, Bob.
Yeah.
It's just how it works.
Yeah.
You get what you give.
Right.
Right? And if you don't know how to be polished enough to be around the owner and his people, you're gone.
Right. There's another guy to take your spot.
Those two demographics are very, very different people.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to blend with both to be effective. That's what I'm saying.
I get you.
Right? And so there's so many things that happen on the back of a boat that the people involved don't realize what's actually happening.
It makes sense. I mean, every time, we're out there, we're fishing, there's a lot of stuff going on, and when we have guests on board and stuff, you're right, you have to manage whether the wife is happy or not. If it's too rough, you got to slow it down, you got to maneuver around everybody that's there. Mm-hmm. And I think you're right in business also, and like you have to do that. You have to maneuver around the guy that's your dealer or the guy that's your manufacturer and whomever. And
so the interesting, so I spent 15 years in the middle market commercial casualty insurance business.
Okay.
So I was in the retail production side. So I was going out and working with business owners and protecting their businesses to all kinds of risks.
Yeah.
But in that, you have to be able to develop genuine relationships with people in a very authentic way.
Right.
And that's, the way I have been brought up. It's always better for somebody to know who you are without you telling them, because it's unfiltered and unbiased, not coming from you.
Yeah.
You know, I can tell you I'm the best, but if he tells you, it might have a little more credence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, building that brand of, you know,
Your personal identity.
get what you give.
Yeah.
And I a true believer in karma. True believer in karma, because it will come around.
Yeah.
In great ways when you're not looking about it.
Right.
Both ways.
Every which way.
Yeah.
I get you.
Karma's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Karma's a wonderful thing.
Dude, I believe in karma. When we're out there fishing, I'm hoping that I put good karma out that week.
Yeah.
I want to go catch that fish, man. I mean,
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So, you know, you've had this background in, now you said, what was it, commercial casualty insurance. How did the transition go to working with a company that does stuff for boats?
So I had one of those moments.
Yeah.
And I'm a very social person. I'm a, you know, shake hands, kiss babies, and hug people. I'm out and about. And COVID really threw me a curveball. Okay. So, you know, you go out from, you know, socializing and networking and everything, and then you get put in front of a computer screen, and I can't give you me through that flat thing. It just doesn't work for me. And I was struggling a little bit. And it was, interestingly enough, June 6th, 2020, I would never, the day to live in infamy, June 6th, Pearl Harbor. But I had a really bad claim happening, and one of my clients that was paying me $1.6 million in premium a year had this construction defect claim that wasn't a construction defect claim. And sorry, that $900,000 loss, you're going to have to eat, pal.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a very fun conversation to have. And my daughter, 14 years old at the time, I don't know how long she watched that conversation happen, but she's like, are you okay? I'm like, ooh, yep. Don't let them see you sweat. And she's like, you don't look okay.
Yeah.
And she actually said to me, she goes, can you fish for a living? Because I just want to see you smile, Dad. And talk about rip your heart out, right?
Yeah.
And I was making a good living. And it was one of those, hey, you know, this is how I put food on the table, you know, yada, yada, yada. Fast forward a year, September 17th of last year, my boss called me. He's like, hey, man, how you doing? I said, good, what's up? He goes, good. You got a minute? I said, sure, what's up? He goes, how are you? I said, good, what's up? He goes, all right, I'm going to ask you different. How you doing, man? And he said in a very genuine way, because he's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And the insurance business is brutal. It's a brutal business.
I'm an attorney, so I get you.
Oh, it's brutal.
It's horrible.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Nobody likes you. Everybody hates you. Nobody wants to talk to you, and they're pissed off when they do talk to you.
I get you.
Yeah, whatever. It's miserable. And he's like, we started talking about, how you doing? So I said, okay, if you're asking, I'm going to start puking in your lap. And I literally paced in my kitchen for 2 hours talking to him and said, I'm done. And he's like, whoa, wait a minute. How about go do something fun and let's talk Monday? Because I hadn't talked to my wife about resigning. I hadn't talked. Nope. I woke up that morning with a call list, and I was going to start dialing for dollars and cold calling people.
Oh, really?
And then 2 hours later, I quit.
Jeez.
Cold turkey, quit.
Damn.
And I called my wife and I said, hey, you got to pick the kids up. She's like, what's going on? I said, I just resigned. She goes, I'm proud of you.
Okay.
I said, I'm going to put the boat in the water. I'm only taking 6 beers. I'll be back before dark.
Right.
And I put the boat in the water, and I live on Tampa Bay, and there was some nasty purple clouds off in Hillsborough County in September, the afternoon thunderstorms. So I took a picture of those clouds, and then I turned my boat to the north, and I took a picture of my compass, and I sent him those 2 pictures to my boss. I said, hey, man, I have no idea what kind of storm clouds I have on my horizon, but my compass is true. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. And, you know, looking hindsight, I probably would have been dead in February had I not left just because of the stress. And this opportunity with Flushmaster and AOS and the guys that I'm working with,
Yeah.
I've worked more this year, but I haven't one iota been to work this
Really?
year.
You're having fun.
I am juiced in the morning. I'm juiced, like literally came in, I'll be texting at 10 o'clock at night about, hey, this, or this, and blah, blah. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Literally, this is really, really, really fun.
That's awesome,
and
man.
having the opportunity to sit down with you and
Yeah.
meet guys like CCO it's almost like a dream come true because, I've been fishing and hunting all my life, and here, we do ICAST, and I was like, oh my God, I'm like a fat kid in a candy store. And it's funny because the guys I work with are young, Cayman's 28 and Kyle's 30. So there's, I'm 51, so there's a bit of a generational gap, but there's not. And that's what's really cool.
You connect on the same level, man.
It is kind of cool. We're doing this, we're doing over the show, and I'm like, hey, you know who that is? He goes, no. I'm like, that's Bouncer Smith. He goes,
oh, I freaked out when I saw him at ICAST too,
right,
man.
Right.
I was
I'm like, Bouncer.
oh.
And it's like, hey, man, I got to stop and say, I appreciate your approach on just keep it simple.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay. We're here to have fun.
Yep.
Right? He never took it serious. And that was why people had fun fishing with him.
Right. He's a great guy.
Yeah. So, Ray Rocher and Deer Meat for Dinner and Joe VT Fishing, like all these guys that I know, and I'm like, how do you know that guy? I'm like, how do you not know these people?
Right.
Like come on.
Yeah.
He's like, well, that's not really what I do, but I can make all this shit. I'm like, all right, well,
you handle that. I got this.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing. And we were talking earlier about the center consoles online or I'm sorry.
The thing that's going on, that kind of web store.
Yep. And I forgot where I was going with that.
I don't know.
But anyway, Cayman, even though being 20 years younger than I am, he brings an acumen to the table for the business sense of how to get this box and how to make that sticker and what needs to go in the box. And I need to get this guy this SKU and all the details of it. I'm like, I can talk about this to anybody, but I can't make this picture. I can't make that sticker. I can't do it.
But you're the guy that makes it happen where you're going to get this
I
in
need
someone's
this sticker
hand.
to have this. I need this sticker to have that. I can tell you what it needs.
You're a big picture guy.
I need this,
Yeah.
right? But I can't tell you how to make that.
Right. You're not the guy making the CAD drawing and 3D printing.
Here's what I need. Here's what I need.
And that's it.
Yeah. But that's cool.
But that's your role. That's it.
It was interesting. So Rick Murphy walked by at ICAST, and I went to college with his brother Mike. Segue, whatever. And I've been watching Rick forever, since the early 90s. And Dave and Bree had walked by, and I had said hello to them and gave them some information on it. I said, hey, I'd love to talk to you about getting on the workbench, this and that, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
A couple hours later, Rick comes walking by, and he was one of the guys that came and he's like, hey, there's Rick Murphy. So I just stood right in front of me. Like he had to walk around me to go.
Well, you're a big dude, man.
I was like, Rick Murphy. He's like, hey, how you doing? So, Ridge and Rick were like, they're both like, geez.
Yeah.
But it was funny. So we started talking to him. I was like, hey, by the way, so he's like, so let's talk about this. And he's like, and we had two 250 Yamahas flushing in our booth. He's like, nice engine. So he's like, hey, all right, how about this? Go ahead and send me one of these and this and that. And 2 weeks later, we're on the workbench with those guys.
That's awesome.
And so it's one of those things that, they saw the inherent value of, hey, this is something good to talk about.
Yeah.
It's kind of like why I'm sitting here with you.
Right. Yeah.
It's a very interesting topic to talk about.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it helps everybody. Helps everybody's lives. It saves time. And in front of me, I have the Flushmaster by Seamule. This little device simplifies the process for flushing your engines. All it takes is 3 easy steps. Plug the hose into the device, plug the hoses from the device into your motors, and press on. That's all it takes to preserve the longevity of your motors, ensuring 100% clean water is running through them. So if you want to preserve your motors, go to seamule.com and go pick up a Flushmaster.
Trivia question for you.
Oh, God. What?
So we launched March 1st.
Okay.
First one was sold in Pompano Beach. Where was the second one sold? In the United States.
Was it in Florida?
It was not in Florida.
California, then.
Nope.
Where?
Minnesota.
Minnesota? The second one?
You know where the third one was sold?
Beats me.
Nevada.
So you guys are going everywhere.
Why would you need to flush your engines in Nevada?
There's some lake over there. Wait, it's freshwater.
Yes, it's freshwater.
So what are they
There's
using
no salt water in Minnesota either.
What are they using it for? What are they...
Invasive mussels.
What?
Yeah. So they have a problem with invasive green mussels that as you leave the boat ramp of these lakes, that you have to rinse your boat, rinse your trailer, open all plugs, and rinse your motor, flush your motor before you leave the watershed of the ramp.
Really? And
Yeah.
is that's across the Midwest over there
So
and over there?
yeah, so apparently it's a problem.
Wow.
Like
So
a big problem.
so those guys have to flush their engines too.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you guys, your market just quadrupled.
And it was interesting. It's like, wow, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it was interesting.
That's cool.
Like the first 3, 2 of them were in freshwater.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a need.
But the interesting thing about it, you know, once this, where's the internet go? Everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you said Australia.
Yeah, the guy in Australia, and there's a guy in Puerto Rico that wants to hook up with us, and you know, like, where's saltwater? Everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And actually,
the world is made of more water than land.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So like the whole, what is the opportunity here? Endless.
Yeah. Absolutely. Literally
Right,
endless.
Right.
You got people landlocked buying this stuff. You got people on the water buying this stuff. It's just people buy it.
Yeah. No, it's good, you know, and you know, at the end of the day, it's really about simplicity.
Yeah.
And making your life easy, and like
That's all anybody
how about,
wants.
you know, have you ever like spooled 50 wides?
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody automated that.
Right.
That's brilliant.
There
right?
you go.
It's one of those things that, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
And you know, like you get all the haters like, oh, I got this Y splitter, this and that, blah blah.
Yeah.
Dude, okay, great. But if you really look at it, and actually, there's a guy that the baseball player.
Okay.
I've asked him to do a side by side through the splitters and watching both motors flush at the same time, because what happens with that Y splitter when you flush both engines at the same time, it reduces the flow.
So you lose pressure.
No, the pressure stays the same,
Okay.
but the flow is reduced, right? So hydrodynamics and those things are way over my head too.
Me too.
But simplistically, you're cutting it in half.
Yeah.
Right? So you're getting half the flow to each engine. So yeah, they will pee, but they're not peeing adequately. So, you know, once you flush them each engine, you're like, oh, okay, that thing's peeing like an 18-year-old in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? Instead of an 80-year-old.
Right.
So there's a difference.
There's definitely a difference.
There's
How do you
definitely a
guys
difference.
combat that with this?
So the Flushmaster flushes each engine individually in sequence.
I see.
Right.
So there's no loss of
so
anything.
When you get up to the trips and quads, so if you're going to flush them per manufacturer's recommendations of 15 minutes, a boat with trips, that's 45 minutes. Boat with quads, that's an hour.
No one has an hour to flush their engines.
So how about this? You want to spend an hour doing it?
Yeah.
Or do you want to spend probably 45 seconds hooking it up and pressing on? Start.
That simple.
That's simple.
Wow.
And it takes that hour process into a couple minutes.
Yeah, dude, this is game changing.
Right.
This is killer.
Right.
For anybody with more than one engine, this is killer.
Right. And even with the guy with one engine, if he's on a lift, he doesn't have to think about turning it off.
He just presses the button.
Be done with it.
Let it be.
Right.
Wow.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that cool.
Dude, this is awesome.
Yeah. It's been fun.
This is sweet.
Yeah.
I feel like people don't understand. They see it. They're like, it's like basically a glorified Y splitter. Mm-hmm. It's not. There's a lot more to it.
It's not. And, you know, the beautiful thing about it, and the guys that I work with, there are actually 29 individual components in here that we have designed and manufactured ourselves. So we haven't outsourced any of the production.
Wow.
All of it is 100% manufactured by us and our manufacturing partner. That is pretty key, and to be able to be agile enough to handle issues that may arise or not. You know, early on, I told you, you know, to kind of give you a sense of how we're, focused on customer service and really standing behind what we do.
Yeah.
You know, when we launched, this hose here is a 1/2 inch. When we launched, the inside EDPM hose in your engine is a 3/8 inch hose. So we designed this system with 3/8 inch hose.
Right.
Suzuki's, Mercury's, no problem, regardless of whatever horsepower, no problem. But the 4.2 liter Yamahas and bigger, it would take a while for them to start peeing because they require a more a larger supply of water to flush adequately.
Okay.
So it's much more important to have a single flush.
Yeah.
On the big Yamahas than anything.
Because then it's not going to be adequate if you don't.
So one of our customers down here in Pompano said, "Hey, I got a problem. It's not peeing right. It's not peeing sufficiently."
Right.
And I'm like, what's your water source? How far is it? Is there anything else on this and that, whatever? So we actually sent him a pressure gauge to put on the end of the hose. And it's like, no, I got 80 psi at the end of the, perfect.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. So I went down and I talked to him. I'm sitting on his boat, sitting on his lift. I'm like, okay. That's not doing what we said it's going to do.
Right.
So I sent him some different hose links and this and that and trade. He was really great working with us. And he's like, hey, look, I'm not mad at you, but it's not really doing what I want it to do.
Yeah.
He's like, can I return? I'm like, yeah, no problem. No problem. So we really went to the drawing board and said, okay, there's an issue. And so we made a very conscious decision that if he had the issue, somebody else is going to have the issue.
Yeah.
And we took that to heart and said, okay, we are not going to have 3/8" hose, so we changed over the entire inventory from 3/8" to 1/2 inch.
Wow.
To address that. I went back and saw Chris Razor is his name. Yeah. And he's like, hey man, how you doing? He's like, dude, what's up? I was like, I got a present for you. He's like,
yeah.
You're really back here, aren't you? I'm like, yeah, I'm excited for this thing to flush your engines.
Yeah.
And we hooked it up, and he's like, man, I can't wait. I'm like, I really can't wait.
Yeah.
So we it started peeing within 45 seconds really hard. He's like, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that's exactly, thank you for working with us and not being that customer that, these things suck.
Yeah.
It's just an issue that we work through, and we stand behind our products.
I was going to say,
and work with our customers. And I told him, I said, hey, the reason why we changed over this entire inventory was because of your issue, and to take your customer service and your complaint very seriously. We took those steps to address that issue.
And that means a lot for a company to do something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Not a lot of companies will go out there. You were there, and you gave them a gift of the new one. That's awesome, man.
Yep. And
wow.
it was funny because, it's one of those you get what you give, right?
Right.
And he's like, man, I live in a neighborhood full of Joneses, and by the way, I'm the lead Jones. You're probably going to sell a lot of these in my neighborhood because, so it's one of those good karmas.
Right.
Right? You get what you give.
You get what you give, man.
Yeah.
Well, this was absolutely awesome, man. It was great talking to you about all this. We're going to have these at our dock, and we're going to make this happen. And you guys better keep an eye out. We're going to be working with Flushmaster and Seamule, hopefully, in the near future.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, T.
Thanks for joining us on CCO's The Science of Fishing. We hope that this episode was helpful and you learned something for the next time you're wetting a line. Before we cast off, a special thanks to our sponsors, Seamule and Black Reef Co. Stay hooked by following us on social media at Science of Fishing and hitting the subscribe button. And if you know someone who'd enjoy this, don't hesitate to share. Until we meet again, catch 'em up.